Welcome to the Art of Simple Hypnosis with Rob DeGroof. Rob's goal is to keep hypnosis simple and uncomplicated, fast, powerful, and effective techniques. In this show, Rob talks with leaders of the hypnosis industry on how to keep hypnosis simple and effective on the therapeutic side as well as on the business side. Enjoy, learn, and by all means, keep it simple.
So, Helen, welcome to the Art of Simple Hypnosis. So let's start with the first question. And the first question is about mistakes. Everybody makes mistakes, and most of the time we learn about our mistakes. So what was your biggest mistake that you made as a business owner or hypnosis business owner or as a hypnotist in common?
Okay, well, I don't really see any part of the business journey as a mistake. I really don't, because I just feel that with every challenge and every obstruction, we learn, we grow, we move on. So I struggle to find mistakes in my business journey. I mean, there are things that I could have done earlier, perhaps. But in terms of mistakes, okay, look, I'll pick one. I would have to say choosing staff to work at my clinic where I had to convince them to work, as opposed to they were very, very keen and they saw it as an amazing opportunity. I would say that was a mistake, because then you're starting off with almost like that imbalance of power, so that all my other staff after that were so grateful to come and work here, and you get a completely different type of therapist working for you. So I would say that is never thinking that you need a particular staff person to work in your business. If they're not 100% in it or 1,000% in it, there'll be somebody better that will come along.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, especially in the beginning, it's not that easy to select staff members because I think as a business owner, we always think that our staff will work as hard or as with as much motivation as we do ourselves. So sometimes it's quite difficult to find somebody who wants to put the same effort in the business as we do ourselves, of course. So that's yeah, I can imagine that in the beginning that's a bit difficult, but once you're more in the business, you know what type of staff that you want.
Exactly.
That suits your own personality, of course. That's also really important.
Yeah. And to know that sometimes, when I first started, I felt like staff needed to have a certain type of, a certain amount of experience before they started. In fact, as long as they've got the training, everything is trainable.
Yeah.
And often the staff that are better, I have found, are the ones that don't have the actual experience, because then you can really get them to do things your way, and everything is just so much smoother when that happens. And so I find that inexperienced but highly trained staff are the best staff to have, as opposed to someone who's been working for years and does things their way and doesn't want to do things your way.
The one staff member I had to fire in the past was the one that already did some coaching, not hypnosis, but did some coaching before she started working with me. So all my other staff members or all my students, they start from scratch at my school.
Yes.
They didn't
Same.
have any experience in hypnosis, in coaching, in working with people. So I could train them and I could work them into my business as I wanted them to work in my business. And that's
Exactly.
really, when you have somebody with a lot of experience, they bring that experience with them, and they keep working in that way, and sometimes that will give a conflict. So yeah, I think that's I think that's the best way to go to with unexperienced but good trained hypnotherapists.
Exactly. And with what you've said, all my staff have since been my students, and that is, I found that system just works so well, and they're so grateful to work here.
Yeah, so yeah, that's, and then what types of techniques they're using. You can step in, you can give them advice when they're using techniques that you're not aware of. You can't give them advice, or sometimes you see them do things that you think, oh, well, what are they doing?
Yeah.
But now you know what they are doing because you trained them, and that's really an advantage, of course.
Exactly.
Yeah. So let's go to the more positive things. What is the best decision you ever made for your hypnosis business?
Well, interestingly, I would say the best thing that I ever did for my hypnosis business is actually to get staff. So when I was in the position where I knew I had to get someone else because it was just too much work for me as another hypnotherapist, I was full of fear because it's like nobody can do what I can do, like my clients, and what about if they learn everything and then they leave, and all these sort of fears. But then when I did my plan in terms of how much income I needed to earn, it was very clear that I needed more than one person at a particular time slot. So no matter how much I was charging, which was, very high rates, and no matter how much I was working, I still wanted to go to the next level. And so then I realized that in order to get to the next level, I needed multiple income streams happening from that same time slot. Once I realized that, then it was like no brainer. I had to do it, and I went into it. Really, I should have done that 18 months earlier. So the moment I hired my first hypnotherapist, now basically where I'm at with HypnoFit now is that it's self-run. So the clinic itself is self-run. I don't even have to be here. My, sales manager is here. My hypnotherapists are here. Everything runs by itself. And that's the ideal position, because then I can spend all my time like you training hypnotherapists, so that I've got a completely different arm to the business that I can completely devote to, as opposed to in the business working and seeing clients. So I would say that is definitely the best decision I made. I could have made it earlier, but it all worked out in the end.
Yeah, that's I think we're on the same level there. For me also, the moment I start hiring staff, I could my business is always that's what giving me the opportunity to travel and teach other people. Now I'm for 2 months abroad in Bulgaria. I have an office here. I work here. My business in Belgium is running. The 7 therapists are working. Most of the things are going automated. Somebody picks up the phone. I even never saw that girl that's picking up my phone. It's a company that does it for me because
Awesome.
I have some administration stuff also working. And that's for me also one of the best decisions ever. And as you said, in first it's a bit like okay, my clients are used to me, and am I going to find somebody who can? But now my 7 therapists, they are more into doing therapy than myself. I still see clients.
Exactly.
But they are more into it, and they are the real therapist. And they don't have to care a lot about the business, and I can care about the business and finding new stuff and changing the business as we have to do nowadays. And that's going to make the turn to the topic that you choose to talk about, to give advice about that topic on how to change your business in these challenging times. And I saw you doing it perfectly. The moment I left Australia, you fly back home to Melbourne, and you start changing your business as I did. The moment I landed in Belgium, I was like 2 days like a bit down and a bit depressed because I had to leave Australia too soon than I was planned. I had a terrible jet lag because we were like 30 hours in the air, and then we came in Belgium, and the country was changed, my business was down. So I was like 2 days thinking and a bit like depressed. And then I woke up at 5 in the morning because of the jet lag, and I started working on new things, getting my business online. And I think that's what you did yourself.
Oh, straight away. So, I went into straight away, and like yourself, it was a shock. But so much of my business was dependent on live events. And I had a booked out retreat in May at the Gold Coast, which was completely booked out. And I had to make a decision very early on as to what I was going to do. And I didn't want to sit there and wait for the government to tell me what was going to happen. I had to make the call. What was I going to do to make sure that the people that I have sold programs to and have sold the retreats to will get more value, not less value, with the current circumstances. So then I had to think about, what can I do? What can I give them so that they're happy with what they get from me, because they can't do the live event like they thought they were going to.
Yeah, the thing what I was especially also in Belgium, I saw it with a lot of my students, and I saw it worldwide with a lot of hypnotherapists. A lot of them, they were just complaining, and we can't do sessions anymore, and we don't have an income, okay, one of the worst things that can happen is when you don't see an end date. There is like you said, you can't wait on the government just to decide when you can reopen your business, because they didn't know it either, because it's everywhere different. They don't know what the outcome is of the problem. But
Exactly.
yeah, a lot of them were just like, yeah, taking it, okay, now we are in lockdown, we can't do sessions, we have like a long holiday, and they were not doing a lot. So for now, you talked about your teaching events, but what did you change on your hypnotherapy business?
Okay, so with my hypnotherapy business, we actually I decided that the clinic would stop seeing clients face to face even before the government told us to. And that was because at that stage, it was an unknown in terms of, well, where are we at? And, you know, in terms of infections and COVID-19, and we didn't know what situation we were in. It was all unknown. And so I decided to do the socially responsible thing. We contacted all our clients and we decided to go via Zoom. So the initial impression was that, you know, many clients didn't even know that you could do hypnotherapy over Zoom. So they didn't even know that was possible. And so to explain that it's very powerful, very possible, and that, you know, now is not the time for them to pull out of their sessions with us, because now is the time that they need our support more than ever. Mm-hmm. And so it was having those conversations with every client and reassuring them of that. So that was really, really important. And with that way, we were able to retain most of our clients by having Zoom sessions. And that way I didn't have to wait for the government to say, okay, now you can't see clients anymore, because we had already made that decision. And that's the way that I've run the business all the way through to now, is I decide how I'm going to run my business, not an external force. And that way I don't feel like a victim. I feel like, you know, this is my business and I'm empowered and I can decide the strategy for the business.
Yeah. So, and is there a percentage that you have in your mind from how many people were really okay to go to the online sessions? Because I know it's very different in all different areas in the world. I can imagine in Australia people are more used to use Zoom for meetings and conversations because of the distance, the big distance in Australia. So were most of your clients were happy to do an online session, or was it difficult to convince them?
Look, most clients were happy, and most clients were pleasantly surprised that, you know, it was even possible. So most clients were happy. We had a small percentage that wanted, you know, a refund, tiny percentage in terms of future sessions. Mm. And we had a tiny percentage that wanted to wait until they could see us face to face, because that was their preference. But most were very happy to go online. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So yeah.
That was the big difference with Belgium. There, most of the people, they say, "Oh, we wait," and because our government, they announced a lockdown for like 2 weeks or 3 weeks. So most of the people say, "Oh, we can wait 3 weeks, no worries." But then, of course, the lockdown was getting longer and longer. So, but still, then most of the Belgian people, because they're not used to use Zoom, because our country is so small, you can't even drive for more than 2 hours in our country. So everybody is used to just drive somewhere and do an appointment or see their relatives. So they don't do a lot of video calls. But it is, as you said, the moment they get informed that you can do it, that it's all, that the quality is the same, that sometimes it's even better. Yeah, it's for me. I like doing sessions online. For me, it's a great tool. Nowadays the connections are okay, the video is clear, everything is good. But still, then a lot of people were like, no, we want to do a session in person. So the moment we were able to reopen our business, our schedule was full, and that was the big difference with people who were like just doing nothing that period. So I think it's really important that even when an external force decided that you can't work anymore, that you still keep busy and inform your clients and talk about it. And yeah.
And that's what I said straight away, Rob, was that it's so important that we show up and that we are front of mind for our clients and that they know that we are there for them. Because the same thing happened with our business. When I compared the figures from June 2020 to June 2019, we had a 335% increase in sales. So people think that, you know, oh, people have got no money and people are not going to want to purchase services. That's not the case at all. In fact, all online services for these sort of situations have increased dramatically since COVID-19. And so because we showed up straight away, because we made the phone calls straight away and we weren't like, I don't know what to say to the clients, because we made those calls, then we were the ones that they contacted the moment they wanted to.
Yeah,
Exactly.
I think the biggest mistake that people were making was actually thinking that because of COVID-19, people don't have money. It's the opposite.
Exactly.
It's the opposite, because the ones that were still working, especially here in Europe, most of them are in a social security system, even if their factory was closed, or they were still getting money. But they couldn't spend it because everybody was in lockdown, so they couldn't go out to dinner. They couldn't go on a short holiday. So they were saving money. So people are actually, it's more the business owners that are in trouble, but not the working people. They were saving money. So that was one of the biggest mistakes that I heard. Yeah, people will not have the money to spend on hypnotherapy. Of course, now they have the money to spend on hypnotherapy because they can't spend it anywhere else. So
exactly. But you know what I feel? I feel that if we as therapists have this poverty mindset where, oh, you know, people don't have any money, then that's, how can we create abundance for our clients? Because we've got the poverty mindset. So if we have the mindset of abundance and that there is plenty for all, and, you know, what I'm offering is so valuable that of course people are going to pay for it, then we're able to do that for our clients too. We're able to bring about abundance for our clients as well. But if we're thinking differently, energetically, we can't attract that for our clients either. That's what I really believe.
Yeah, I know that is one of the things that I struggle most to convince my students that hypnotherapy is not something that you have to give away for free, or that you have to say, yeah, but yeah, a smoker, and if you then I just say, okay, do the maths, just do the maths and calculate how much money he spends on a yearly basis on buying those stinking cigarettes. And then, and then they are like, yeah, okay, if you see it that way. I say, yeah, but sometimes they have a problem. Like weight loss. Just ask your clients how much money they spend on all those different types of diets or programs or exercise programs or protein shakes. And then my students are like, oh yeah, yes, actually, yeah, last year I spent myself like 1,000 euros on those things. I said, okay, and so you think that the session is too expensive? So that's a mindset that's sometimes, especially with and I don't know, it is the same in Australia, because one of the things that what for me was really surprising, that in Australia, the convention that you organized, where most of the attendees were female, and normally when you go somewhere in the world, most of the attendees are male hypnotherapists. So for me, it was a very good experience to see that but something changed in my courses as well. When I started doing trainings in Belgium, most of my students were male, and now most of them are females. But what I experienced during the years is that especially the females are harder to convince that they can ask a good amount of money for hypnotherapy. I don't know if you have the same, because you're a female. I don't have to convince you about asking a good amount of money for hypnotherapy, but I see it a lot with my students, especially the female students.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely, because they're in that caring, nurturing mindset, and it's very hard for them to understand that, you know, we are still carers and nurturers and want the best for our clients, but that should not take away from the fact that we need to charge for what we're worth and charge for what we give. And in fact, I believe that, you know, when you do put that kind of value on your services, the client also transforms, you know, far quicker because they have that perception of that value as well. But, you know, you have to live up to it. You've got to give a professional service. So, you know, you charge for it, but you have to live up to it. You've got to give that service.
Yeah, I think that's really important. Of course, when you ask a fair amount of money, then of course your mindset has to be there, your involvement, your motivation. Yeah, that's really important. For me, one of the things that I changed since my former business, I was in entertainment. I was never sick. Lots of the time I was sick, but I was always on stage because the show must go on. But I never do that with hypnotherapy. When I don't feel well, I cancel the appointment, because for me as a hypnotist, it's really important that I'm feeling okay, that I'm at 100%
Exactly.
fit. Because my sessions are short, really short, but I put a lot of power in my sessions. So I need to be really fit. I need to be at
Top of your game.
100% top of my game, because otherwise I can't do a good session. So in this type of business, I sometimes just call my client, okay, we have to reschedule because I'm not feeling good, or but I couldn't do that in my even when I'm teaching. I want to be 100% on top of my game. So that's yeah, I think that's really important in hypnotherapy. And then of course, when you ask a fair amount of money, of course you have to put all that motivation, all that energy in that session to get your client where he wants to be.
Yeah, exactly. Like on Monday, I didn't feel like my energy was right. And I did, you know, I was scheduled to see a client on Monday, and I cancelled it for exactly that reason. I mean, I was okay. And in years gone by, I wouldn't have cancelled it, but you know, she's paying a lot of money, and I want to be so in there with her, and my intuition has to be razor sharp. And I knew that I wasn't sharp. You know, I could go with emotions, but that's not good enough. I needed to give her more than that. And that's why I did cancel her on Monday, and you know, I'm going to see her on Friday instead, because of that reason. I want to give everything of me to the clients.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons that the few sessions that I'm still doing during the week, I always schedule them in the morning, because when I start working on my business and doing whatever that I'm doing, creating stuff or doing the marketing or whatever, or designing a website or whatever, and then let's say I work for 2 or 3 hours, and then I have to do a session, then my mind is still on that work that I was doing, because my mind is still thinking. So I really want to start my day with my sessions, and then clear my mind and work on the business. So that's yeah, for me it's really important, because when I used to do sessions like 5-6 sessions a day, then in between sometimes I was just doing something at my office, and then for me it was quite difficult to concentrate, to focus on that client again. So I think that's really important, that you can just focus on your client. I had one of my therapists now, she asked me to do like only 3 days a week sessions anymore, but she does a few sessions more. So her sessions in a week is the same amount, but she says then those are my therapist days, and then all the other days I can do whatever I want to do.
Business,
and I just focus these days on the clients, so my total focus can be on the clients. And I think that's yeah, really important. So let's talk about keeping hypnosis simple. Actually the topic of the show, so the art of simple hypnosis. For me, it's really important that you don't overcomplicate hypnosis. So is there any advice that you can give to our viewers on how to keep hypnosis simple and not overcomplicated?
Absolutely. So I think that, you know, it's really important for therapists to understand, hypnotherapists, what are we trying to achieve here? So rather than just learning a technique, and this is what you do, and this is what you say, and this is what you do, what's the purpose of that? So you understand it. So whenever I teach my students, before I teach, you know, the phrases that work, and I teach the conceptual, what are we trying to do here? And that way, you know, you can understand what you're trying to do and you can change it accordingly. So it's really important to understand what's the purpose What are we trying to achieve here? Because too many people, try and learn something by rote, but don't understand what they're saying, what they're doing. They need to understand what is going on. And, even with, rapid inductions as an example, I remember that early on in my hypnotherapy journey, I had this block about, being stuck on not trusting myself to do them. And I ended up doing 3 different courses to learn them. And then something that one of my trainers said stuck with me. And she said, it really doesn't matter.
Yep.
It really doesn't matter. I mean, the purpose is to shock the client, right?
Yep.
So you can just make it up. And as soon as she said that, it just all the fears, all the blocks of doing it right just left me. And I thought, I can just make this up. And, and then that's what I was doing, is all the things I knew, just put them together, mash them up, do whatever you want. And there's no right and there's no wrong, because what are you trying to achieve? You're achieving, you're giving something that the client's not expecting. And so you don't have to do it with these steps. You can do it with other steps to do that. So understand what you're trying to achieve. Like when you do parts therapy, understand what you're trying to achieve. You're trying to identify the unresourceful parts, and you're trying to connect with the resourceful parts. What are you doing? And that way you can ad-lib, you can, work it yourself. You can get inspired during the session and things just come to you because you're understanding the concept behind everything.
Yeah, that's really true. That's one of the things that I teach my students all the time. I say you can't do anything wrong. The only thing that you can't change is you have to start with an induction and you end with an exduction, and everything you do in between. Yeah, okay, there is no right order, there is no wrong order. The only thing that you can't flip around is induction and exduction, and everything is one of the things. When I'm doing a training, they ask sometimes, oh, but this technique, do you have it written out? I say, no, I just explain you how it works. And now you have to do it yourself with your own words, with your own style, because everybody is different. You don't have to be a copy of another hypnotherapist. You have to be yourself, and just understand what the goal is, what the technique is about, and just recreate it in your own way. But when you write them everything out, they will just read your words and they will do it for the rest of their life. And then and I think that's really good advice that you give. Just understand what you're doing and do it in your own way. So it's really, really, really important. So what final advice can you give the viewers to keep their business running and going and their hypnotherapy simple? Something that you want to share with everybody.
So when you are selling a service, get it out of your mindset that you're selling. Just forget about that word sell, and because this is where people get stuck up on. Okay, so you are offering amazing transformational value. So don't think about you, and if you get rejected or if the clients don't want to go with you. It's got nothing to do with you. It's about the client. So what I would suggest you do is get your camera and put it out, not in. Stop looking at yourself and worrying about yourself. So when I see a client or a prospect, I think about, wow, I really need to help them because I know their potential. I know what's possible for them, and what's going to happen if I don't help them. Where are they going to be? So of course I want to overcome their objections. Of course I want to offer them as much help as possible because I want them to be transformed, as opposed to feeling guilty that I'm getting money from them. I mean, all the money in the world is not going to make them happy. That's been proven by so many people who have got a lot of money and are not happy. So that's just an exchange of energy. It's nothing evil, it's just an exchange of energy. But that's what I would say is the most important thing. Get out of your own way. Don't look at it as a sales process which you hate. Look at it as, how can I change and transform this person's life, and how will their life be different because I've done that?
Yeah, I think that's one of the things that people, especially therapists, sometimes forget, that we are giving them something that their life will be, sometimes they change for forever. They had a problem. I once returned from traveling, and there was a note on my desk that I really had to call back a guy, and he wanted to speak me in person. And he called me and he said, Rob, I really need to speak to you because you changed my life. I changed this alcohol problem. I changed a sexual problem with him, but I also did something with his daughter, with his father. So actually the entire family was happy
Yeah.
because of a few sessions that they did with me. So, and he was so thankful that, yeah, he would have paid so much
Oh,
more even to get all those
absolutely.
results. So sometimes we're limiting ourselves by thinking as if it is a sales process. I'm a really bad salesperson, but I can don't ask me to sell a car. I can't sell a car because I'm not interested in it. I can't see
Yeah.
the benefits from the people. I can say, oh, this is nice. I have a nice car myself, but I'm not interested in cars, so I don't know anything about that. But once I know what the benefits will be for a certain person, I can explain them, and I can show them what they could reach by doing this session or this training, and then I can overcome that thinking, that salesperson thinking, because I don't want to be that pushy salesperson. But if you think like a salesperson, you will become that pushy salesperson.
Exactly,
If you
exactly.
put that sales process out of your mind and just that you give them something that has value. So you're not actually selling them something. You're offering them a solution to reach their goals.
Exactly,
And I think
exactly.
that's the mindset and I think that one of the problems, because when I speak to therapists all around the world at different convention, the one thing that I hear a lot is we don't see enough clients. And for me it's something like, you don't see enough clients. I had to
Because the
hire 7
clients are
therapists
there.
because I can't. Yeah, there is
The
everybody.
clients are there.
Yeah, everybody that you see in your life is a potential client. So how can you not see enough clients? That's because you don't know how to convince people of the value that you're offering. So, and that's and I think that's the mindset of but we don't want to be the salesperson. But you don't have to be the salesperson. Just talk about what you're doing.
Yeah.
Talk about the value that you can offer. And I think that's really, really important.
And what you said, Rob's really important too, which is, when people sometimes say brand new therapists, they say, oh, but you're telling me to say this, but I don't have any clients. Well, I said, well, do you have people in your life? Do you know people? Because people are clients, right? Like, so if you know people have problems and you've got a solution to that problem, that's a prospect.
Yeah.
So we all know people, just like you said. And I think one final thing that I'd like to say about that whole process is, and this made a big difference to me, which is don't be attached to the outcome. Like, if in the end that person does not want to go with you for whatever reason, it's okay. Don't be attached to that outcome. It doesn't mean that there's anything bad about you. It doesn't mean that your business is not going to work out. It doesn't mean that you don't know what you're doing. It just means that that connection did not eventuate. That's all it means.
Yep. Yeah, of course. Yeah, it can be just, you have a chat with
Timing,
somebody. There's
whatever.
no click. It can be bad timing. Can be they don't have the money at that moment. It can be anything. But if you always going to be like a bit depressed when you don't
Yeah.
sign up a client or when you don't get the appointment, then of course I have the same when I talk with potential students or whatever, or at conventions. I talk with people and say, oh, maybe I sign up for your training, and then they don't. Okay, no worries. But
Yeah.
the thing that I try to also explain to my therapists a lot is, maybe you sometimes we get questions to do some lectures at certain service clubs or whatever, and then sometimes they say, yeah, but we did the lecture over there, we talked like 1 hour and a half, and nobody booked an appointment. I say, okay, but that's no worries. They are still potential clients. Maybe now they were not in the right mindset to book an appointment, but sometimes I have clients coming to
Exactly.
me from talks I did like 5 years ago. They say, I
Yes.
remembered that you did this and this and you talked about that. And so you plant the seed, and you have to think long term. And
Yes.
I think that's also one of the issues. People are sometimes thinking short term, and short term is yeah, that's not what we are selling. We are offering something that, yeah, you might have use of us in like 5 years maybe, or then you're ready to become a non-smoker, and not now.
That's
So
right.
or
That's
then you're
right.
ready to, or you want to do something on your weight because you're going to get married or whatever. So you have a reason, you have a benefit, and that's planting the seed is so important. Yeah.
And being front of mind so that they know that when they are ready, they know who to go to.
Yeah, of course, that they still remember you, that the moment they decide they want to change something in their life, that you are the first person that pops in their mind. They say, okay, I saw that lady or that guy speaking about hypnosis, and yeah, it sounded really interesting. Let's give him a call. So yeah, that's what you
Exactly.
want at the end, of course. Okay, so Helen, thank you very much. First, before we end this interview, how can people reach you? Where can they find you? Is there something that you spoke? We were talking in the simple question rounds. We spoke about books. I know for a fact that you wrote one, so tell people about it.
Okay, well, it's behind me. You can see the one in the white cover. It's called Mindset Dominance. But I think the best way for people to reach me is on my website. So it's helenmitas.com. So HelenMitas.com. And in fact, if you send me an email at helen@helenmitas.com, if you are a hypnotherapist, I would be happy to send you a free resource guide, which is 9 ways to attract clients that are either free completely or very low cost. Because I think a mistake that therapists make is that they don't know what to spend money on when they first start with marketing, and I always think that low-hanging fruit is really important. So how can I make an impact without spending a fortune? So when I first created a 6-figure business in my first year of hypnotherapy, I didn't have sales funnels. I didn't have, Google ads. I didn't have paid Facebook advertising. But what did I do? So if you send an email to helen@helenmitas.com, I can send you a free resource guide, and that will help you.
Okay, so I will put all those details also in the show notes on the website, and so people can reach you and get in touch with you. You also have
Awesome.
a Facebook group. Maybe you can tell something about that. It's also an interesting Facebook group.
Yeah, so I've got Hypnosis Business Success. I've got 3,100 hypnotherapists on there. I'm very strict about who I allow in. So there are only therapists on there. And so we have a theme day every day. I do lives quite regularly on there, and it's a community group, so you can do posts as well. And every Tuesday is the only day that you can promote. So if you have something of your own service to promote, all you need to do is do hashtag Talk It Up Tuesday, and you can promote your stuff on Tuesday as well. But most importantly, and the most important thing about it is that it's a community.
No.
And that's what it is. And another thing that your people might be interested in is once a month I have a meetup group called Hypnosis Business Success. And because you were a presenter at the first virtual meetup.
Of course, yeah.
Because it was meant to be live, but it ended up being virtual. So I've had this meetup now for nearly 5 years. And the purpose of it is to create a strong community where every single month we get an amazing presenter. And so it used to be held here in Melbourne, but now it's global because it's virtual, and it's going to stay virtual. I'm not taking it back to a live event. And it's the first Tuesday of every month. It's an awesome session. If you can't make the session, you'll get a recording straight away that night. So our next speaker, she is a celebrity expert. So they call her on TV and radio here. Her name is Dr. Louise Ma, and she's going to be talking to us about having difficult conversations, body language. She's a body language expert and all the rest of it. So that's on meetup.com. So there's lots of resources out there.
Okay.
You just need to connect.
Okay, I will put all the links in the show notes so people can find those things, and especially the meetup for the ones in Europe. I think it's like 10 o'clock in the morning for us or something. So because time zones, but there is a recording, so people from all around the world can
and
join
that's
that
the
meetup.
blessing.
And
There's blessings with everything, and this is what COVID. One of the blessings with COVID was that it's made it accessible to people all around the world now. Whereas previously people were saying, I wish you were in my city so you could do a meetup here. Well, I am here now.
Yeah, now you're everywhere.
I'm everywhere.
You're everywhere. So that's one of the good things. There are always positives on those bad things happening. There's always I learned so many new things. I got new ideas. Everybody is getting positives out of it as well. Although there are some negatives. So Helen, thank you very much for this
Thank
interview,
you.
and I hope to see you somewhere in the world really soon.